Hello everyone, my name is Shambhavi. Hope you all are doing well. So basically, now today I'm going to tell you about one another term, and that is basically encapsulation. So now basically I'd be telling you that basically what encapsulation is, how do we do encapsulation, and basically what is the use of doing this in Python programming. Like what's the use of doing this thing? Like already we were having many functions, many things. Now this one more new thing has come. So what's the use of doing that thing here? Right. So these are all the things that we are gonna cover today. So let's begin up. So first of all, what I'm just doing is that I'll be telling you about the definition of the encapsulation. Okay, that what encapsulation actually is. So encapsulation is a process. So it is basically a process of wrapping. It's a process of wrapping up variables and methods. Okay, it's a simple definition for the encapsulation is that it is a process of wrapping up variables and methods into a single entity, right? This is a definition which we have here for the encapsulation, right? Now basically I would just like to give you an example that basically what I just mean from that it is a process of wrapping of variables and methods into a single entity. So basically in programming actually what we have, so I would just write that thing at here itself. So in programming a class, is an example. In programming, a class is an example that wraps, that wraps all the variables and the methods, right? And I would just add on this thing and the methods here, fine? So and the methods. So here we have, right? So this is basically what we just call it as like in programming we have a class that is an example that wraps up all the variables and the methods which are basically defined inside the class, right? Defined in it. So as that same only condition we have encapsulation as well. So basically encapsulation is a process of wrapping up variables and methods into a single entity. Right, so I hope you just got the point about the definition of encapsulation. Now, what's the use of encapsulation in Python programming? So let's move on to this topic right now. So basically, here it is written that encapsulation acts as a protective layer by ensuring that access to wrap data is not possible by any code defined outside the class in which the wrap data are defined. Encapsulation provides security by hiding the data from the outside world. So this is the main use of encapsulation, which we see that it provides the security by hiding the data from the outside world. And how it can provide security. So in that case, basically comes the role of public, private, and protected variables that we'll be discussing afterwards in the videos. But for now, basically it is the whole thing that we have here for the encapsulation. So it actually acts as a protective layer which basically ensures that the wrapped data which we have, so basically it is not very easy to get access to that data, right? And basically not at all possible for any code which is basically defined outside the class in which the wrap data are defined, right? So encapsulation actually provides us a type of security by hiding the data from the outside world, right? This is the whole idea which comes into the encapsulation, right? So now I hope that this must be very clear to you that actually what encapsulation is. Right, now let's move on to some example for the encapsulation and let's see basically some example for this, and after that we'll be again coming to the definition once again, and then you'll be getting it more clear that basically how all these things happen, right? What is actually encapsulation and how you can just write a program and verify that okay, encapsulation is the procedure that is performed here. So I would just write your class and then let's say I define a class that is A. Okay, simple, very simple class which is actually A, which I have just defined here, right? Now I would just define a method to it that is underscore underscore init underscore underscore and in the bracket itself, right? So right now if I just simply define a class variable, then I can just access the class variable with the help of the class name as well as with the help of the object, right? That is very true, that we all know. Now what if I define a protected variable here, right? What if I define a protected variable? So for protected variable, basically I would just add on here self dot and I would just put on here underscore 1 and that is equal to 2, right? So the for protected variables we had already discussed this thing in the previous videos as well, right? So self dot underscore one. Now if I just put one single underscore, so that means I have defined a protected variable. Keep this thing in your mind always, that if I define some one single underscore in the starting of a variable, so that will be my protected. And if I define double underscore, so that will be my private variable, right? Just make sure to remember those things very carefully. So I've just defined this self dot underscore one and just given it a value as 2. Fine. I would not, next thing that I would be doing is that I'll be defining a class, and let's say that class is B. Okay, now come on to the next line. I would just write here def, and that would again be init underscore underscore init, and in the bracket it would be self, right? I just defined the self method once again into this class B. Now, okay, before that, what I'm just doing is that I'll be even applying the single inheritance here, right? So this is a single inheritance actually which we do. So I've just inherited the class A into B. So this means that whatever the properties, whatever the functions, methods I'll be having in my class A, all of them have even come to my class B as well, right? So I can just execute now everything from my class A as well, right? So now let's move forward, and basically here I'll be adding capital A. That was my class, right? This is my class actually which we had taken. So A dot, and here I'll be writing underscore underscore init underscore underscore, and then in bracket it would be so for like this. Okay, and I would just come to the next line, and here I would simply add a print statement. Let's say my print statement which I just want to add is that calling a protected number, calling a protected, let's say variable, I would just add here. Okay, let me correct out the spelling like this. Okay, so calling a protected variable, let's say this is the print statement which I actually wanted to add here, right? Now I would just simply write here again one of my print statements, and I will simply print, okay, that is self dot underscore one. Now underscore one is my protected variable, right, that we had defined above. So next procedure, I would be making the object for class A and B. So obj1 is equal to A, and basically obj2 is equal to B. This is basically how we do, right? And now I would just run out my program here. So let me do that. Fine. So basically here what answer did I got? I just got that calling a protected variable and then 2, right? So because I just made the object, so because of that my all the these functions run, and I just get this output, that is calling a protected variable and then 2. So 2 was the number which I have stored in self dot underscore 1. Here I have stored, right? Now if I just write out my print statement here, okay, I just wrote out my print statement, and inside this print statement, if I just write obj2 dot, and I just write here as 1, okay. Now if I run out my program here, now just have a look that I am getting a type of error, and that is attribute error. Basically B object has no attribute 1. This is the type of error which I am getting here. Why? Because calling the protected member outside class will result in attribute error. Just make sure to remember this thing, that calling protected member outside the class, okay, let me put the hash as well, will result error. That would be attribute error itself. I would just not write that thing very detailed, because under we are just able to see it here. So whenever you're just able like trying to call the protected member outside the class, so it will basically result you error. And here this is the same thing that we are trying to do, right? We're just trying to call the protected member outside the class. So this is the whole reason that why this is not running and just giving me the attribute error, right? So I hope I made this encapsulation very clear to you, that what actually encapsulation is. Let me just quickly give you an overview about what we have discussed regarding the encapsulation right now. So we had seen that encapsulation is a process of wrapping of variables and methods into a single entity, right? In programming, a class is an example that wraps all the variables and the methods defined in. So basically in programming, so a class is an example that actually wraps all the variables and the methods defined in it. Okay, so we can just access the methods, access the variables with the help of the class name only, right? That is basically wrapping up the data into something. So that is actually something my class, right? And next, basically, what do I have? So encapsulation acts as a protective layer by ensuring that access to wrap data is not possible by any code defined outside the class in which the wrap data are defined. Encapsulation provides security by hiding the data from the outside world. So this is actually what was done here in the output as well, right? I was not able to access my protected variable. Why I was not? Because here basically this encapsulation thing was applied, and because of that it was basically giving the security to the variables which I have defined, and it was basically hiding the data from the outside world, right? So I hope I made this thing very clear to you regarding this encapsulation topic, that what is this and how we just write the program and what are the things that apply and why we just use this encapsulation Python programming, right? So this is all for this video. Till then, thank you and take care.